Hello, my name is Duncan and welcome to BAFTD Books, or Back Away from the Donkey. And today we're doing a Tag Tuesday. I didn't do a tag last week. I wasn't going to do one this year, but I just saw this one flying around. And this is called Give My Regards to Broadway. I wasn't tagged by anybody, I just picked it up because nobody tags me, but that's fine. And this was originally done by Troy Trade-Up, and it's to do with musicals. And I actually struggled on this one for a few things, but it was just quite interesting. I quite like them because they sometimes make you think about books you've got or books you've read that you don't always think about, but we will see how we go. So I've got my tablet here with a prompt, and the first prompt is for Fiddler on the Roof, and all I can think of is Topol doing his falling through the ceiling bit on that one. It's called Fiddler on the Roof. If I Were a Rich Man, recommend a book which somebody becomes very wealthy or very poor over the course of the story. And this one I really struggled with. It was quite a difficult one, and what I chose in the end was technically a short story. It's Robert Heinlein's The Man Who Sold the Moon, which is part of a collection, and it's basically about a man who sells advertising on the moon and makes lots of money. I will put a picture of it up there. I haven't looked at all these books today because some are in boxes. But yes, The Man Who Sold the Moon by Robert Heinlein would be my first suggestion for somebody who makes a lot of money. But for some reason I did struggle with this one, as I said, which I did with quite a lot of them. So let's go to the second question, which is, Annie, The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow. Recommend a book that takes place after the end of the world. Shush. Gizmo's having a go. Yeah, we have this little Yorkie having a go at a big Labrador here. I put my money on the Yorkie. Sorry, I had to put a brief cut in there because of a bit of barking, because Gizmo, little Yorkie, was telling Micah the big Labrador off for squeaking a dinosaur. Oh well, as you do. But yes, so this is Annie, The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow, and it's pick a book at the end of the world. Well, I've actually picked two on purpose. One of them is Christopher Priest's Wonderful Inverted World, which was written about 1973, and it's about these cities that go along on train tracks, and it's got the best opening line of any book ever, which I will read to you. And here it is. I had reached the age of 650 miles. Beyond the door, the guildsmen were assembling for the ceremony, which I would be admitted as a guild apprentice. It was a moment of excitement, apprehension, a concentration into a few minutes of all my life had been until then. And it's a great book. So you've not read Inverted World by Christopher Priest, read it. This is one of my Glance Classic sci-fi ones, which I really like, these editions, which were from the mid-80s. But the other book I was going to put out, which is at the end of the 80s world, it's a good book. I don't think it's probably as good as Inverted World, but it's Brian Aldiss, The 80-Minute Hour. And the reason I picked this one is it's set after World War III, and it's a space opera with singing in it. There are songs in here, and there literally is singing in here. It is really bizarre book, and I will show you there. I'll show you there. That's a song. A space opera with opera in it. What more could you want? But yeah, Brian Aldiss 80-Minute Hour, which is a great book, and Inverted World, which is a better book, but either of those will read them. And now we've got a dog barking across the road, which is little Louie, who I mentioned before, little Louie the Dachshund, who is the nemesis. And now the next one is Hamilton. I want to be in a room where it happens. Recommend a book in which a character is in a room where they shouldn't be at a key moment. Well, this first one that struck to my mind is from Philip Pullman's Historic Materials, the first book, Northern Lights. Which is that one there, is when the main character Lyra is hidden away in a study and she overhears some stuff that affects the whole of the rest of the story. Historic Materials is a great story. It was, when it was originally released, it was sort of marketed as a pseudo genre that is YA. It's not really a genre. And then it was a children's book, and then it's sort of an adult children's book anyway. But it's Philip Pullman, well written. And it's just a really intriguing story. So if you get a chance to pick that up, But yeah, so that's that question, and on to the next one. Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain. Make a book that does a very good use of its setting. Well, I will say, there was a couple of these, and my mind went back to Brian Aldiss. You've got the Heliconia trilogy, Spring, Summer and Winter, which is basically a planetary romance about a planet, that one. But also what came to mind was Hot House, which is a fantastic book. And another Aldiss book was Non-Stop, which made me think of, as long as you get it under Non-Stop and not under the American title, which gave away part of the story. But yeah, Brian Aldiss' Hot House, about this planet that's basically taking over everything, and the flora and fauna is taking over everything. It's just well written, and what's good about it is it doesn't explain everything. Sometimes science fiction specifically feels like it needs to explain everything to you, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the stuff just needs to be there. But yeah, I seem to be on a bit of a Brian Aldiss bent on this tag. And so next one, Phantom of the Opera. Turn your fare away from the garish light of day. Recommend a book which a character actively embraces the dark side of their personality. Not got a copy of the books here, but I'll put a little picture up there. And what came to my mind was actually, I was trying to think of something a bit different, was Piers Anthony's Bio of a Space Tyrant books. I think there's 5 or 6 of them. And basically it is about this guy who starts off as a lowly person and ends up being a space tyrant, thing. Piers Anthony's a bit of a sort of, can be a bit controversial on point. There is quite a gruesome sexual assault at the beginning of the first book, from what I remember. But the character develops, and it's all quite a bit pulpy and what have you. What I find with Piers Anthony is he makes his books go on too long. He has too many things. I think there's 5 in Bio of a Space Tyrant. I've only read 3 of them. I don't know where I own the other 2, because he just sort of drags it out a bit too long. Like his best stuff to me is the Apprentice Adept series, which is I think about 5 books, but only the first 3 I've read, or his Incarnations of Immortality books, which I think there's about 6 of those, and literally the first 2 or 3 are excellent, and then it sort of loses some of its thing. He can be very creative. If you look into his history, he writes books to order almost. He writes an outline, and if he's not sold the book, he won't write the book, which can be an advantage for him, obviously, because he knows he's going to get paid for it, but can be a disadvantage for everybody else. But yeah, Piers Anthony, Bio of a Space Tyrant, and he definitely embraces his dark side. I was tempted to go Star Wars, but I thought I'd better not. And number 6, Wicked. Something has changed within me, and something is not the same. Recommend a book you love so much that it made you feel you could defy gravity. Well, there's many books I could quote up here. Everything from Lord of the Rings to me reading Philip K. Dick to Anne McCaffrey to first time I read Frankenstein. But I'm actually going to pick up Kim Stanley Robinson's Red Mars. First of the Mars trilogy, with a gorgeous Peter Elson painting on the front of this copy. I remember reading this when this came out, and I've read it a few times since then, and it's just one of the great books about colonizing a planet. And you read it and you think it's just so well thought out. So if you like Mars, the Mars trilogy, it goes Red Mars, Green Mars, Blue Mars, I think, or was it Blue Mars, Green Mars? Can't remember what order they're in. But yeah, Kim Stanley Robinson. Kim Stanley Robinson was he's one of the hard science fiction writers and knows his science. And it's a really, really good book. So that's it, yeah. My first tag for a few weeks. And that was Troy Trade Up to the Original. I'll tag him below there. And anybody else wants to do it, obviously they can do it. And I will speak to you in the next few days when I'm hopefully get a video out probably about Friday. And I've got a few things in the pipeline. And have a good day.